Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're very excited today because we are diving into the mayhem and romance of My Lady Jane on Amazon Prime. And it's going to be real fun. We don't have a sarcastic narrator telling everything that's going on, but we'll try our best to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm film critic Grace Wagner. Natasha Alvar's here.
Yeah. Hello.
How are you doing?
Um, I don't know. It's weird. I think I think you know, right, that
Yeah.
I'm no longer the film editor at Cultured Vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
So like this week I haven't had anything to do. So
Yeah.
it's a weird feeling, I guess, because usually I'm so busy on the
Yeah.
weekend, like writing and watching, and yeah, I just watched like the Beverly Hills Cop, like,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, oh, I don't have to write a review on it, so it's kind of a weird feeling, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So
I was, of course, sad for you, and it had such a nice long run with them. I mean,
yeah,
incredible. But as
yeah,
soon as I
six
heard, I was like,
years.
yes, I'm gonna put her to work. This would be great.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yes.
Mm,
But you did
yeah.
have a long run with them, so that's really special.
Yeah, 6 years.
That's a long time.
And yeah, it started like so I guess randomly, like I
Yeah,
didn't set out, I guess, to write for them, and then yeah, and then it just became a thing. So yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, but
yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes, like, you just gotta accept that things have to end.
yeah.
Yeah, as much as you don't want it to. So yeah, that's life, right?
Yeah, that's the
Sadly.
thing is
Yeah.
in when you're freelancer, it's just you never want to get too comfortable with anything too long. And then things
Yeah.
change and you just have to be
Yeah.
continually kind of adapting and going forward, taking the next opportunity, taking the uh next gig, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So
I
yeah.
mean, that is one nice
Uh
thing about making your own content is that at least you have one thing that you can't get fired from. That's that is an advantage.
yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Rachel, you're so smart, I think. I feel
I
like
don't
you've done
know.
like such a great job. Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, you've created your own brand, right? And I think I realized, like, after like after this week has done, I realized, like, I didn't create, like, I guess, my brand. Like, my
Mm,
brand has always been tied to their brand, so like yeah. And I think a lot of film critics also have like their own blogs, and I never did that. So now it's like really from like ground zero, I feel,
yeah. Well, you
yeah.
well, thank you for that. And you definitely have to keep us posted because we want
Yeah.
to whatever you end up doing, and we're
Yeah.
excited for whatever you can do for us, of course. But whatever you end up doing, just definitely keep us posted because it's going to be we want to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
So.
yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be
Yeah.
good. It'll be good. It'll be challenging, but it'll in the end, it'll be good. It'll be good. So,
Yeah.
well, at least you don't have as much drama as Lady Jane Grey, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Her life is well, yeah, it's very, very dramatic. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
happy not to have that drama, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We should say that this is a mature show, and I was thinking about it, and I don't know if you agree. I would say that this show is more mature than Bridgerton.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't know why I would say it. I think maybe because I think it's darker. The themes are darker. The villains are more villainy,
yeah.
right?
Themes are darker.
Yeah,
It
this,
still has the sensuality that Bridgerton has,
yeah,
uh, and it has the language. It's got
yes,
you know
yes,
a lot of. So it's just I say that just that it's not going to be for everybody if you if you so not every well I mean obviously we'll keep our language clean but it may not be for everybody this episode and it may certainly the show will not be for everybody but if you're open to something a little bit sassy and different, I think there's something to enjoy here. Had you read the book?
I started to read it after I watched the series. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like kind of in the beginning part of the book. I think I've seen it like because there's like three, right, in the series. There's like I think Jane Grey, there's Jane
Yeah,
Eyre, and another Jane that I can't remember what it was. But I think I saw the series, but I never got a chance to read the book. But you did, right? For
I did.
like a book
Yeah,
club thing.
book club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was a bit
Yeah, yeah.
ago, so I couldn't
Yeah.
like tell you tons. Like, oh, this is so different than the book. The books. There's one on Jane Eyre, one on Mary Shelley. Yes, I
Oh,
mean
Mary Shelley?
so there's a Jane series and then there's a Mary series.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Like different,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
let me see.
I can't remember what the third Jane is about.
Mm,
Mm. But it's kind of I think they do it historically, right? So it's like
Calamity
chronological in some
Jane.
way.
Calamity
Ah,
Jane.
okay.
Calamity
Yeah,
Jane.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then and then they have Mary about Mary Queen of Scots. We certainly
Oh,
get to
okay.
know here.
Yeah.
Uh, one about Mary Shelley and what's the other one?
Mm.
That's Mary Shelley. Says, don't call this mermaid little, call her Captain Lady Pirate Mary Read. So I guess it's based on Pirate Mary Read. So that's
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah. So the
It's a
books,
mix, it's a little mermaid and
and I guess
yeah,
I don't
pirate
know if this is a
version
real
of
person, Mary Read.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess she's real. English pirate, Mary
Ah.
Read. That one sounds good. Yeah, I read so I read My Lady Jane. It's part of the book club that I was in, a few years ago, and I enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. We had a good time with it, and so that was fun. It's by Cynthia Hand, Jody Meadows, and Brody Ashton. And so that's what this is based on. And of course, it's a historical reimagining of the life of Lady Jane Grey. And I do think that this show it's fun because it inspires you to kind of learn more about history. Like it's not obviously historically accurate in hardly any stance. There's little like it's more historically accurate in the sense of like wink wink. This is kind of
Yeah,
vaguely,
yeah,
you know, but it's enough to
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
make me be like, oh, I'm curious, to learn more.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like a a trend because recently there was also Firebrand, but that wasn't like a
Oh
historical
yeah.
retelling. Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
also like focused, I think, on the Tudors, that that point in
Oh
history,
yeah.
right? Yeah, but Catherine Parr, so this is like
It's true.
a little later, yeah, when Edward is on the throne. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I think I like that it does something new with history because you know the history, right? And you want to
Yeah.
find out, I guess, what they've changed. So it incites you, I guess, to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
just little things like the fact that she's in the Tower of London when she's in
Yeah.
prison, like that's real. That's what
Yeah.
really that happened. And so there's little things like Mary getting um, Mary and King Philip of Spain, like that's real. So there's like
Yep.
little
Yep.
things in there. and then of course you have all this fantasy kind of going along with it, which just makes, and I mean,
Yeah.
the character names are all, real people, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of fun because it's like a fan fiction of real events, kind of. I would think this.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's kind of tons of books that kind of do that, right? Like, like maybe they reimagine
Yeah.
Jane Austen's life,
Oh
like it's a
yeah.
fictional kind of history. Yeah.
I
So
like
it's
it.
fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
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 And yeah, that's true. Like Pride and Prejudice and zombies and things like that. Kind of let's
Yeah.
take
Yeah. Yeah.
a classic and let's put a fantasy skin over it, and I think it's fun. It just freshens up something that can be, if people feel like, oh, historical dramas, historical shows are dry, boring, then I think they might like this, My Lady Jane, because it's anything but dry and boring. Would you agree?
Yeah, because they kind of make it funny, right? It's comedic, it's a
Yeah.
romp. They poke fun at the characters and
Sarcastic.
yeah. So everything, I mean it's serious. There are serious things that happen, but you also kind of don't take it so seriously because like that
Yeah.
things will end up okay. I guess it's not going to be so serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So Lady Jane Grey in real life, and please be patient with me, historians. I am by no means an expert, but she was she was queen for 10 days, famous for being queen for 10 days. And basically she was the so she was made queen and then basically almost immediately put in prison. And then
yeah, yeah,
Mary basically took over, and it was a battle between like the Protestants and the Catholics, and within those 10 days basically
yeah.
basically
She
everything
died.
turned,
Yeah,
and Mary was
yeah.
able to take control, and she ended up getting executed, her and her husband.
Yeah, yeah, Guilford Dudley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 10 days or 9 days. But yeah, she ruled for a really short period of time. But she was really young as well. She was like 17
Yeah.
years old. And she was only chosen because Edward wanted like the throne for her sons, for any sons she would have with Dudley. So it wasn't like even like, the throne is for her. And he kind of didn't want to give it to his sisters. So that's how we ended up with her becoming queen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Edward's will, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why she ended up. But yeah, she was queen from July 10th, 1553. And then she was basically immediately put in the Tower of London. And and then she died July 19th, 1553.
Yeah.
So 9 days, you're right.
Yeah.
9 days.
Yeah.
So
And queen.
it's fascinating. And so then what they've done is they've taken this woman and they've, a flight of fancy, and we get these fantasy elements, which we'll talk about, these Ethians. And so yeah, it's very interesting. Overall, with the franchise, what did you think of the first season overall?
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I think it was breezy. Like I think I could get through the episodes quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched it in like 2 sittings.
Mm-hmm.
It kept my attention for the most part. I think I didn't like it. I think maybe towards the end when it started to, I think, focus on a lot of various things like the Etienne conflict, the uprising, their rights, right? And then you have the whole conflict with Mary. So I felt like it was a lot of things going on at the same time. and that kind of dragged the pacing a little bit. But I think overall it was very enjoyable. Yeah, so I had a good time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that in season 2 they need to get them together way more. That was the only thing that was frustrating, is that our two leads, which have such amazing chemistry and are so fun, were
Yes.
separated for a lot. And all the side characters weren't that interesting to me. Weren't that
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and so it would drag, especially episode 6 was just like a total loss to me. I was just like, what? And because they're completely separated that whole episode. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think for season 2 they need to get them together way more.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why we feel like maybe the second half isn't as good as, I guess,
Yeah.
the first half, when they're building their relationship and they're together more on screen.
Yeah.
It's more, I think, pivoted around their relationship, and then the second half becomes more about, I guess, a conflict with Mary because she's queen now, right? And then the whole Etienne thing as well. So I think it becomes, I think, more packed with other things, other plot lines, and then I guess what makes it so interesting and so enticing, I guess, is kind of left on the back burner a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Do you think, I don't know if it's been renewed for season 2? I'm
I
not
don't know
sure. I
if it's
mean, it's on Prime.
official yet, but they definitely made it clear
Yeah.
there is going to be. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
teased a season 2 for sure.
Yeah. But I think they've done such a, I know, I don't feel like they've publicized it enough. Like, I think I saw it because I was on my Amazon Prime, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, one of the featured things. But I didn't like hear about it
Yeah.
prior. It wasn't on like X or Twitter or
Let me see
whatever.
how
I
many.
didn't hear anything, right?
I was curious to see how many reviews are on Rotten
Yeah. I mean, it
Tomatoes.
could just be like a first season thing, because even Bridgerton wasn't like, I guess, has it went on, right? It got more and more hype, right? But maybe the first
Yeah.
season was a bit more, maybe not as many people know about it. I don't know. Yeah,
Let
but I
me
felt like
see.
no one's
I
really talking about it, which is weird.
was just gonna see how many reviews it had on 27. So yeah, not that many on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
add both of
yeah,
ours, or I'll add mine.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, that's interesting. I would imagine it would get a second season though. It seems like it's gotten enough buzz, but I guess it's so hard to know with streaming, you know,
Yes, yes.
when
So,
and it's hard because I'm like in my little bubble, and so like everybody I know is talking
yeah,
about it, but I don't know if
yeah.
and how that translates to overall success.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. What
So, yeah, I guess we'll
But that would
see.
be
We'll
my
see.
suggestion to the showmakers is have them together way more.
Yeah. Yes,
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah. Well, so what did you think of Emily Bader as Lady Jane? Did you like her performance?
Oh, she's so good. I
Yeah.
think in terms of her facial expressions, like a lot of the role and the performance wasn't, I mean, yeah, there's dialogue and all that, but I think the the emotional moments, a lot of it, I think, is just dialogue free, and it's just her face doing the storytelling. And I think she made um like, it's difficult, I guess, because Jane is kind of idealistic as well. She's
Hmm.
all this I think, opinions about life, and should I be married, should I have a man, how do I want to live my life, right? So she's kind of idealistic in the way she handles a lot of things, which can go either way when it comes to characters. But I think her performance made her like kind of relatable. Yeah, I think she didn't go like, I guess, fully girl boss. Like, it was still
Yeah, that's
kind
what I
of
was just
like,
gonna say. I didn't feel
yeah,
like this was
yeah,
sort of a one note girl power kind of depiction of character.
yeah, which I like, yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it shows her being kind of wrong about things as well, right? That, she's
Yeah.
kind of flawed. She doesn't know everything, you know. She needs to like know a little bit more, accept help. Um, yeah, so I think it's a very good performance. Yeah. I don't I don't know if I've seen her in anything before. I know I've seen Guildford in other projects. His face is like super familiar, but yeah, I
And
think she did a
yeah, Edward
fantastic job
Bluemel.
acting. Yeah.
Edward Bluemel. I don't know if I had seen him. Let me see what. Um, I'm looking to see what else he's done. Oh, he was in 2022 Persuasion, which is terrible. That's too bad.
Oh no. Who is he? I'm like, who is I can't like no wonder he's familiar. Oh yeah.
He's
Can't
Captain
remember who he
Harville, so
played.
that's like a small role. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he was new to me. It looks like he's done other shows, just none that I've watched. He was in Sex
Yeah.
Education, Killing Eve, Traitors, The Crown,
Okay.
things like
Okay.
that. But
Yeah.
I've never,
Yeah.
I haven't seen those shows. So anyway, but he was very charming.
Yeah.
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 And and they had
And
like
I
I
think
think good chemistry too.
from the get-go, right? From
Yeah.
the first meet cute. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think what's so interesting is that he's not very, I don't know, he's not conventionally, I think, handsome. Like, I think the actor who plays his brother, Stan, I think is a little bit more conventionally, I would say, handsome, the
Mm.
blonde, white kind of look. But there's something very, very charming and charismatic
He's
about
got the
Blumel.
swagger.
Yeah,
He's got a
yeah,
swagger.
yeah.
Yeah.
It might be the leather pants, right? The leather pants helps.
Can't hurt, that's for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so what did you think of I think it's Kate Flynn as Lady Mary? I mean, I'm a little torn on her performance because I do appreciate the camp in it. I mean, she really goes for
Yeah.
it. And so often everybody's trying to make like the complicated villain, like it's got to be all these
Yeah.
layers and all this stuff. And I appreciate that they just went out, make her just like absolutely like this is like old school Disney villain. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's really
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
humanity to this character, and I appreciate that. But I think they spent too much time with her. We got too much of her.
Uh, yeah. I think some of the kinky stuff, I guess, between her and Seymour,
Yeah.
maybe we didn't need so much. But yeah, yeah. I guess she's
We
known
spent a
as Bloody
lot of time with
Mary.
her.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess she's known as Bloody Mary for a reason, right? That's why she's kind of unhinged.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think yeah, a bit much, I don't know. She was very entertaining. Very entertaining. She went there. I hated her. So I
Yeah.
think she did her job successfully. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I guess, yeah,
I just
they tried to give her some humanity, right, with her whole like her Etienne dislike. She hates the Etiennes for like a complicated backstory reason because of
not much. They really didn't try much to give her humanity,
I mean
which I was
yeah, a
fine
little
with.
bit, yeah, yeah.
I just think that we really didn't need like so many scenes of her flipping out
Yeah.
and yeah, I agree. The like bedroom scenes, like there were too many. It was just too much with her. So tone it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Season 2, we want more of our leads, a little less Mary. So
Yeah.
here we go. Well,
Um,
so episode 1, it's called Who'll Be the Next in Line? And Lady Jane Grey has been betrothed against her will to her cousin. The king is coughing up blood, and her best friend has flown the coop, literally. So it starts out, we learn about this thing called Ethians. And so the Ethians, it's basically what do you call it? It's like a race of people in
hmm.
this world where they transform between human and animal.
Yeah, they
And
can do it with ease.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a big thing that's it's kind of like the X-Men in the sense of like you just people try to like hide it, or
Yeah.
it's on the like outskirts of society and everything, and they're looked down upon, persecuted, kind of a thing. And what did you think of that? Like how that was sort of handled within the narrative? What did you think about that and how it was handled in the narrative?
Um, I think, I mean, I thought it was good, I guess. I just felt like maybe it could have been amped up, I guess, maybe for more of a season two thing. Because I think after that it became like there was too many things going on. And I think maybe in the books it wasn't as big of a deal. Like they kind of made it, I think, more pronounced, like the differences and all that. Because I think in the
Mm-hmm.
book, King Henry was also Etienne or something, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
But they
haven't
kind
read
of
it for a
changed it
long
a little bit.
time,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
can't remember. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess that I would be like, is that it was a little bit muddled of like what exactly are they trying to say with the Ethians?
Yeah.
It felt
Yeah.
sometimes it
Yeah.
felt like this was supposed to be like a queer metaphor, like you're hiding who you
Mm-hmm.
are, you have this whole part of you, but then like was it like because then you have characters that aren't queer that that aren't Ethian, and some that I was like, are you trying to say that or are you not? I don't know. I was a little bit. That was the only thing that was like a little. What's the message here? Is you just sort of talking
Yeah.
about overall persecuted people, like,
Yeah.
or is it supposed to be
I
something more
wasn't
specific?
sure. Yeah, because I mean, when it comes to like history, right, the whole divide is really between the Protestants and the Catholics, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
Protestants are who Mary like kind of hates, right? I mean, that's why
Mm-hmm.
she's called Bloody Mary, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if they were going for like a historical angle or if it was more modern, like you said. Yeah, it was. I guess they just needed, I don't know, something for Jane to fight for, like a cause or
Mm-hmm.
something. Because I mean, the reason why Jane is, the real Jane Grey dies, right, is because she refuses to convert, right? She doesn't convert to Catholicism, and then she's killed, executed because of that, right? So I guess they needed to give her a cause. Yeah, and I guess this is
Yeah.
the result. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's something they could work on. But she is told by her mother that she has to be married in this first episode, and if she doesn't, she says, "There's no way I'm not going to do it." But if she doesn't do it, then her sister is going to be forced to marry the Duke of Leicester, and so she agrees basically to do it under protest to help her sister. And I do think Jim Broadbent as the Duke is unrecognizable. I couldn't believe that was him.
yeah, yeah. I
Like
was
that
like,
was very
oh,
impressive.
he is so gross, man, as the Duke. I was
He
like,
was
oh,
very
like,
gross.
yeah,
I mean, even like he just did not look like him at all. Like I didn't even
yeah,
realize it was
yeah,
him until I was preparing for this, and I'm like, oh my, that was Jim Broadbent. I can't believe it. I don't know. That was very
yeah.
impressive makeup that they did. I
I,
thought,
I somehow I recognized it. I was like, oh my god, that's Professor Slughorn
yeah,
from Harry Potter. I was like, oh no.
yeah. And so they have their meet cute. She tries to run away, and rather than get married, and then we get their meet cute at this country pub, and she doesn't know. Neither of them know who each other are. That they're betrothed. But it was it was cute. It was a highlight of the season, I thought.
Yeah, as far as like meet cutes go. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Jane having like a sexual awakening
Mm-hmm.
while she's like staring at Guildford was like kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
Yeah. They tease us a lot, man. They tease us so
yeah,
much.
they do. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it took forever
Yeah.
to get to that. as kids.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. They're
gosh.
always like, their faces are always like this, and then
Yeah.
they're like, and we're like, and then like nothing happens. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
So we also get to know Edward in this first episode. He's the king, and he finds out that his dog is an Ethian in this first episode, and it's kind of eye-opening for him. And he's sick, sickly, and we start to find out why later on. But he's played by Jordan Peters. And what did you think about Edward in the show?
Oh, he's so likable.
Yeah,
And I think it's difficult to play because I think King Edward has also very, I think, traditional, I guess, and conventional ideas. Like, I think he wants the heir to be a man, right? He
yeah,
has certain perspectives of a woman's role and a woman's place, right? And that's why he, agrees to, get his cousin married off, right? For to arranged marriage, right? So I think it's difficult to play because I think but it's very interesting because as a king I guess he's so myopic, right? He only knows I guess what the people in court tell him about the outside. So it's kind of interesting to see him and his journey later on. So even like the king I think gets a little bit of a redemption arc. He also gets like a little journey, right? So Jane is like, released from the historical narrative as a victim, and the king, I think, gets more layers and more development also. Yeah. So yeah, he becomes more open-minded, I think, by the end of the show and the series, which is kind of fun. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So yeah, yeah.
it's all kind of conjecture because Edward died when he was, I think, only 15 in real life.
Yes, very young. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he was very sickly all the time. He's a sickly child.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. He was made king at the age of 9, and then he was king until he was, yeah, and then he died in was 15, and he did name Lady Jane Grey as his heir, in excluding his half sisters Mary and Elizabeth. And then there was this dispute between them, and Mary, a Catholic, reversed Edward's Protestant reforms during her reign, while Elizabeth
Yeah.
restored them in 1559. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's they take that character and obviously they age it up and they make him, a different, uh,
Yeah.
so it's interesting, and I think it's a good performance from Jordan Peters. I think he does a good job with this role.
Yeah, because I think kings or royalty or something, he does keep that pretentiousness, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not completely removed from him and his character, but I think the he makes it kind of endearing. I don't know, like
yeah.
so we kind of invested, I guess, in his journey and his change as well.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're also supposed to kind of be sympathetic to him because he's closeted.
Yeah, yeah, which
Yeah.
we learn
Mhm.
towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, so that's this first episode, and she finds out at the end that that man in the pub is her betrothed, and
Yeah, yeah.
so that's fun.
It's the that's the scene that I saw on TikTok or somewhere that made me want to watch
Oh
Lady
yeah,
Jane Grey. Yeah, when he, because she thinks that she's marrying the brother, right? And she's like, oh, resigned to her fate. And then he steps out and she's like, oh. So I was like, oh, I want to watch this series, whatever it is. Yeah. So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
the
Oh, that's the
yeah.
catalyst.
Yeah, yeah. That got it
I was
going,
just so depressed over Bridgerton season 3. I was like, I need something else. I need
Oh,
something, and this is far better than that. There's no question, in my opinion, at least. Um,
yeah.
yeah. But there was also a side of me that was like, I don't trust television. Like, uh, there's been so few television shows that have stuck the landing. Like, almost all of them start out really entertaining, and then they either become just like tired, boring versions of what they once were. They overstay their welcome, or They have some annoying showrunner who's like, I want to switch things up, and they ruin it.
Yeah.
And there are very few shows that haven't been disappointing, in my opinion. That's why movies are better than television.
Yeah.
I'll say it once. I'll say it a million times.
I mean, you are right. You are right. I think the only series that comes to mind immediately that stuck the landing for me is The Good Place. Which had 4 seasons, and I think it did it knew when to end, know, and it ended really well. And I thought that, that to me was good. But
it's
right.
true.
Right.
And they didn't overstay their welcome. It would have been easy for that show to go on 10 seasons, and just keep going. I mean, for me, I Drop Dead Diva really nailed it. I really loved that show. I really love The Nanny, and and All Creatures Great and
The
Small.
Nanny's great. Yeah.
Those are like actually I think that Sex and the City really nailed it. I know a lot of people have issues with her ending up with Big, but I think I'm fine with it.
It made sense.
I mean, the movies are absolutely atrocious now, and just like that, like they whatever. But Sex and the City.
No, I have to agree. I think when I start, like every time I rewatch it, I watch all 6 seasons. So I think it ended in a way that I guess was fitting for Carrie Bradshaw. I think maybe personally, maybe viewers are like, no, too big, right? But I think it makes perfect sense that Carrie would end up with Big. Yeah,
agreed.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy.
And me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
But anyway, so episode 2 is called Wild Thing. Jane's husband, Guilford, turns into a horse daily. Queen Mary and Seymour conspire to kill King Edward. Seymour falsely accuses Dudley of poisoning Edward, leading to Dudley's imprisonment. So this was a pretty fun episode. Like I said, these early episodes were stronger than the later episodes. But this whole wedding, when she's like faking being sick and everything, it was pretty fun, and the narration and everything. And then this whole so she's like, okay, wow, I really do have to marry this person. And
wait, what's the doctor's name? The doctor's name, Dr. Butts. Is it Dr. Butts? Oh my god.
There are a lot of little jokes in this.
It
doesn't take itself too seriously, which is refreshing for this kind of historical drama. A lot of So but then they have this whole bedding ceremony, which they are able to kind of fake their way through, which was funny.
Is that historically accurate, I wonder? I mean, I know that you have to they have to hang the sheets or something. Like, that's what I remember. I didn't know that people came in to see them do stuff. That was kind of weird. I was like, oh, is this
let's
a
see
tradition?
Here. Let's see. I'm looking it up. The bedding ceremony refers to the wedding custom of putting newlywed couple together in a marital bed in front of numerous witnesses, usually family, friends, and neighbors, thereby completing the marriage. The purpose of the ritual was to establish the consummation of the marriage, either by actually witnessing the couple's first intercourse, or far more often symbolically by leaving before the consummation. It symbolized the community's involvement in the marriage. The legally binding nature of the ceremony varied greatly from place to place and through time.
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, man.
Here,
Thankful to be
on
living in
Wikipedia,
the
there's a comic of let's see, a satirical cartoon by Isaac Cruikshank of Princess Charlotte and Prince Frederick being led to bed by a party, including her parents, King George III and Queen Charlotte. So I done put a whole new spin on Bridgerton.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, because
God,
I mean,
goodness, yeah.
Queen Charlotte's kids didn't want to have children, so I guess that's why
Yeah.
we're like desperate. But yeah, it says here that the ritual is often associated with music, body, songs, and jokes. And so that's really interesting. And I always think it's fascinating that, we have this kind of puritanical sometimes, or at least I do, of like some of these past societies, that they weren't body, they weren't, I don't know, that they were more sort of old fashioned than they really were. And then I mean, if you go to a place like Pompeii, you quickly learn like, oh, whoa, they're not.
Yeah. It's always like, I think, public perception versus like private, desire.
Yeah. Like Pompeii, there's so much pornography, like everywhere. And so, you're like, wow, all right, there we go. I guess that survived the volcano.
It was the age before the internet,
Yeah. Do what you have to do, I guess. But so in this episode, we find out that Dudley is the Guilford is a Ethian. But the thing that's unique about him is that he can't control it like the others can.
Yeah.
And so he turns into a horse when the sun goes down.
Yeah. Because I didn't read the book, right? So I was kind of like taken aback by it. Like, it was shocking to me because I didn't expect him to become a horse. I was like, okay, because like I think they established in the episode 1 that he has like a bit of a ladies' man kind of reputation. Like, he's known for like, being a man about town, right? And I thought that that's what the big secret was. I didn't think that
which, like, no big shocker. If you were a horse, like, I can imagine that you'd be kind of a rake.
Well, he's a stud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
God, yeah.
So, but he has all of these issues because not only is he sort of this persecuted minority and he's having to hide it and everything like that, but we find out later on that in the next episode, we find out that he the first time he changed, he feels like it was the cause of like his mother dying, the shock.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like trauma wrapped up in his transformation, and I guess that makes sense why he can't shift on whim, on choice, because I think he's never taken charge of it, right? He's been too like scared, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and so he is the reason why he wants to marry Jane is because she has this reputation as this brilliant mind, but also with all of the herbs and other things that she does. And so he hopes that she can find a cure for for his Ethianism.
Yeah. He has all these like books that he's kind of gathered, and he hopes that she can discover or find something to help him. Like, he completely like rejects, I think, that side of himself. Which is
in that way it's kind of similar to like X3, even though X3 is terrible, but like in the sense that the cure, trying to find a cure for mutant in that one. But then we have also Jane's mom being with Dudley's brother, Stan. I think his name's Stan. What did you think about her mom, and what did you think about this relationship?
initially I thought Stan was a bit of a bumbling idiot. He kind of grew on me as the show progressed. Like he became kind of a fetching character.
Yeah.
I think the mom is like such a typical mom. I would say like kind of manipulative and calculated. She's kind of like Lady Featherington in that similar kind of maternal mold, right? Where everything I think that she does is I think calculative, for how she can leverage her daughters, right, to kind of secure positions for their family and everything. So I think for her, the family name, her position comes first. I think before her daughters. She does care for them. She does in her own way, but she always kind of prioritizes that over her daughters and what they want.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I do think she was like a little bit more layered. Maybe by the
Yeah.
time we get to Lady Featherton in season 3, like she is pretty layered, but there you definitely see some humanity to her. And the fact that they give her
Yeah.
this relationship, because at first I was thinking, oh, she's like full on villain. She's like an evil stepmother
Yeah.
bad, but like she's really not. And and this relationship did surprise me. I thought, oh, this is that he's going to be a maybe even a villain too. But they do quite a bit for a side character with Stan, I think. And
Yeah, it becomes quite genuine.
Yeah.
Like, the feelings that he has for her, which was surprising. I thought they were just gonna like, be conspiring like
Same.
Mary and Seymour, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not bad, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So then episode 3 is called With a Girl Like You. After Edward's feigned death, Seymour plots to kill Jane and Guilford, believing Susanna's abduction. Jane uncovers the ruse, evades assassination, and becomes queen. So yeah, a lot going on. Episode 3. She's trying to find the cure. And in this, we learn more about Dudley. And we get more scheming from Mary and Seymour and Dominic Cooper. I felt like he was probably the most sort of underused one note. He didn't do much for me.
Yeah. Because he's so talented, right? He
I
can do so
know.
much more, I feel. Yeah. But maybe season 2 will do more with his character.
Maybe.
I mean, there's like much more there. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Susanna is kind of a character, and she's an Ethian. And so you have her. There's like this ransom note. And this is how we get our first sexy time. They don't give it to us completely, but they start, I guess, between Dudley and Jane. And she asks for a divorce.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, stop it.
Yeah.
I was like, finally, right? Some momentum. And then the next moment it's like, oh, maybe we better not, right? Because, we're going to separate eventually. I was like, woman. Yeah. But I think they kind of teased us with all the sword fighting as well.
Yeah.
Like the two of them, like, just appreciating each other's talents. Yeah.
Yes.
So that, yeah.
What did you think about this crazy scene when Catherine, the little girl, when she kills, is it Catherine?
No, Catherine.
Margaret. What did you think of this crazy scene when Margaret kills the Duke of Leicester with a pear?
Yeah, that was messed up, man. Like, I mean,
I was like, would somebody really suffocate?
Yeah.
Like, she pushes the pear into his mouth.
And she closes his nose. Yeah.
Oh, does she close his nose? Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, he chokes. He chokes.
Yeah. Because he's so like hungover and so drunk, right? He's like he can't like even wake up or whatever. So I guess it's believable, but it's like horrific, like for a child
crazy
to commit.
Then the mom comes in and she's just like, "Oh, okay," and she takes the pear out.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, wow.
But I think what was interesting is that the mom immediately knew that it was Margaret, right? Like later on, she reveals it. So
it's like the only person in the
man.
room. So
No, Catherine was there too.
Oh,
But
was
I guess
she?
I don't know. Maybe Catherine doesn't have the like stomach to do something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's the more like,
Oh.
abiding sister, right? Yeah. But that was shocking, man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this
And
child.
so in episode 2, Edward basically falls out of the window. So people think he's dead. And so that's why he leaves the Jane is his heir. And so Jane becomes queen at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
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 So that's
Yeah.
fun.
I think, I mean, if some people might not know that, yeah, I know Edward comes back, right? He comes back to life. But I think if we are thinking along the lines of history, like you might think like that he's dead, because King
Yeah.
Edward does die. Yeah.
I thought
So I
so.
was like
Yeah.
a bit, yeah, I was like, oh, did he die? Like, I was like, kind of, this is an anticlimactic kind of death, right? Like,
Mhm.
and usually if they don't show the body, then the guy is alive somewhere.
Right.
So I was like a bit uncertain for a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So then episode 4 is called Bluebird is Dead. Jane and Guildford uncover Mary and Seymour's plot to kill Edward. Mary assaults Jane, destroying evidence. Francis sees Guildford transform to a horse, and Edward is revealed alive. So pretty quickly on, we find out that Edward is alive. And but Jane's trying to figure out who it is. And there's this whole thing with trying to figure out who killed Edward, and this whole thing with the cook and this witness. So she's supposedly this witness, and it turns out that she's a Ethian, and she ends up getting speared by one of the guards.
Yeah.
Which was
wild.
That was a wild sequence.
That whole scene was like, whoa. Yeah. And it kind of reveals about like Seymour's, I think, sadistic side, right? Because he keeps all these Ethians, and then he uses them for all these kind of purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then they said you can't just kill people. It's kind of like, why? And a great scene between Jane and Dudley when he says, "I've never given up on anything in my life." And as we get our big kiss. A big kiss.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And so Dudley Sr. says that she should make Dudley king instead of just a consort. And then he has this whole debate with Dudley. He says, "I'm a horrible monster for wanting my son to be king," he says. And don't let your one flaw hold you back from greatness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, by the end, I think they're trying to say that it's not a flaw, that it's actually his greatest strength. Being an Ethian.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a source of the conflict between him and Jane later on, right? Because she's like, when she sees him and she's like, can't he see how he is and how majestic I guess he is as a horse, right? So she admires that transformed side of him as well.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get him, to accept it, but he's just like, you've kind of renegated on our agreement, right? You're not going to like help me find a cure. So again, that becomes the source of the conflict that separates them, later on in the second half. Yeah.
And then we have a fun scene, and this is where Stan really started to turn over, is when he plays Knights in White and Satin for Frances and proposes. And she says, "You're just not husband material."
Yeah. Oh, he's such a adorable himbo.
Yeah, he really is. And pulling out the Moody Blues. I mean, that was a deep cut. I was like, wow.
Yeah. He's got layers.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
It was good. I was not expecting that because I was thinking he was gonna be a villain. I really was. And then I'm like,
yeah.
And so then we have, of course, we find out that both Mary and Seymour killed Edward. That they're both in.
Yeah.
And so basically then she finds the like ledger and everything, and
the letters that I think they wrote to each other, something.
Yeah, so she has the proof. She mistakenly like brandishes it in front of Mary. Mary attacks her and then eats the letters, which was wild. That was wild.
That was like, just when you think Mary can't get more unhinged, she does. Like she chokes her as well. I was like, God, this woman is just like, she's just gonna flat out murder people, right, in public.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness. But I think the reason why Jane does that is because Mary was headed to the stables, right, and she was worried that she would stumble upon Guilford, because I think the sun was gonna come up soon. So she tried to distract her, but in a very bad way. Like just no strategy at all.
Well, I mean, why would you think that she's gonna eat it? Like, that was wild. That was wild. So, they did. I mean, they really did do a good job making Mary like unhinged, crazy. I appreciate, like, because I get tired of every villain having to have like the tragic backstory and everything. Like, just have a fun, dishy, over the top villain. I think we got too much of her, but I appreciate that they leaned into the camp for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so she says, abdicate or die. And then we find out Edward actually is alive, the narrator.
Yep. The narrator is hilarious.
Yeah, really funny.
Yeah. Do you remember there's this one part where we get called out for being peasants?
Yeah.
Like the narrator will go on about like, oh, this is the royals and this is how they live, and not that you would know, peasant. And I'm like,
yeah. And I appreciate that they didn't really break the fourth wall, because I think that could have been very annoying. They do with the narrator, but not the characters. If Jane had constantly like winking at the camera, being like, that would have probably been very annoying.
It might have gone into like persuasion.
Yes.
The territory, right?
Yes. Oh, so bad. So bad. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies. Episode 5 is I'm going to change the world. Lady Margaret cares for dying Edward. Dudley forces Jane to name Guilford king. Mary bargains, offering Norfolk's army for chancellorship. Jane welcomes Ethians, dismisses guards for coronation. Under pressure, she marries Guilford. So, in this episode, we find out that, of course, Edward is alive. He's with his granny.
Who's
taking care of him.
Yeah.
And Dudley Sr. says that that she should name Guilford as the king. You have to play by the rules. So that was sort of the theme of this episode. Does she actually have to play by the rules?
Yeah.
So Mary is trying to kind of court Norfolk, because one of the things the narrator says is that it wasn't enough just to have power. You had to convince basically the armies at the time and the leaders to then follow you.
Yeah. Correct.
And
so I think that this is where Jane had her misstep, right? Because she thought that just with, pure idealism and the fact that I'm queen, I could convince, an entire nation, right, to like just listen to me. But I think that's not how politics works, right? That's not how things work in real life. Yeah, so it felt
Yeah.
like realistic, I would say.
You get a shut up and kiss me moment here, which was really fun.
Yeah,
Like literally, she says that, shut up and kiss me. That was fun. What if I didn't want a
yeah,
divorce?
yeah,
Yeah, and we get our sexy time, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. We get our, and she has an innocence to her, which was fun, sweet.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what
because
to
it's her
do.
first
Show
time,
me.
right?
Her and
Yeah.
Penelope both need help.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he gives her these pearl earrings. You've given me hope, Jane. It was very sweet.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's so sad to have this moment and then the next moment it's gone again.
Mhm.
So sad. Yeah. I wish we had like more, I guess.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need more. We really did. And she says, we must live side by side with the Ethians. The king is the kingdom that needs change, not you. So she says to Guilford. And and then he gets mad because he doesn't really want her to be this forming this sort of reconciliation with the Ethians. He wants her to find the cure. And he says, F
Yeah.
England,
Yeah.
heal me. I trusted you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
Mary and Seymour go into hiding at the end
yeah,
of this episode.
because doesn't Jane's sister plays a part in it, right? Like she kind of tips them off.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, because she
Yeah.
thinks that Mary is rational, reasonable. She's not. No.
Well, after the pear incident, I guess.
So episode 6 was the real dud to me. It's I Feel Free. And it's Mary rejects cure, goes into hiding. Archer safeguards Jane from assassin. Edward escapes with Fitz after learning Margaret's plan against Verities. Archer and Norfolk bowling match decides division law's fate. I have only like, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 notes for episode 6. There's assassination
Yeah.
attempt, the jousting tournament, which took up a lot of the time. She's trying to court the nobles. She's trying to get them on her side. And it says humans love to hate. That's a big message.
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad we got cheated of the joust. Like we didn't get like a, but I guess it's a budget thing, I feel. Like I don't know. I felt like the choice to keep it interior, I felt like a budget.
They could have gone all like A Knight's Tale on us. And that would have been fun.
Yeah.
I'd have liked that.
That would have been so fun. Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good comparison to this Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Like this is more R-rated, but like they're kind of similar.
Yeah, both irreverent, fun, camp. Yeah, yeah.
So then Catherine falls for Seymour's brother. So you get that story kind of starting.
Son? Was it son? Seymour's son, I think so. I think it's a son. I have no idea.
Son?
Could it he's the ward of Norfolk, the Norfolk guy.
Oh. Why I wrote down brother. Then
I think because they look like they kind of look like
they look similar. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think because Dominic Cooper doesn't look, I guess, old enough to be a father.
Yeah,
of a fully adult son. I guess
that's what I thought. Yeah. So his son, then, but obviously she is not. This is not going to turn out very well. But she's hoping that they can like run off together, I guess. And so then we have this guy, Scrope, that what was his name, that then proposes because they think that Dudley is gone.
The that he's abandoned her.
Uh-huh.
Right? Yeah. And
So
then
then
this
he
guy has his
proposes,
army. Yeah.
to Jane, and it turns out Guilford is chained up in the forest, and Jane rescues him. And then Mary thinks that Jane is dead. Mary takes over control. So that's this episode. So then episode 7. Episode 7, Another Girl, Another Planet. Jane's family is held hostage by Mary. Despite Bess's support, Jane faces trial. Edward raises an army, but evidence of Guilford's identity leads to Jane's death sentence. So basically the idea is that she is considered a traitor by supporting the Ethians.
Yes, that's why a lot of them turn on her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
When
she
in
signs
reality, she was a traitor.
Yeah.
She was considered a traitor by Mary because she supported the Protestants.
Yep.
Yeah. And then she really did end up in the Tower of London. And she really was executed. Here she gets saved at the last minute in the next episode. But yeah, it's so Mary she claims that she's the correct inheritor, that she's king, but then Edward comes back. So there's all kinds of dynamics here. You also see Edward meets this man Fitz in the pub, and they had great chemistry. They were really good.
Yeah, from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
I think what was interesting was that even though Edward was back, the show didn't kind of, I guess, they could have used it, they could have done it very easily in the sense that Edward could have like come in and, accuse Mary, blah, blah, blah. But they kind of established that that couldn't be done. And that made it kind of interesting for me because I was like, if Edward's not going to come in and accuse Mary and, and solve this, then can Jane be rescued? How is she going to
get tension,
right? Yeah. So I was like, I know the show is going to save her because they establish it early on that she's not going to be a victim. But I'm like, as she's sitting there waiting, going through her trial and then later on, awaiting execution, I'm like, still like, how's it going to happen? So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah.
And also like Mary is very insecure. I mean, she's insane, but part of what was, I think, an interesting moment in this season is when Seymour says about Jane, says it's so easy to do if it's a woman. And Mary kind of looks at him like, what? And so that I think that's part of her unhingedness is that even as queen, she's still not respected either. And so that makes her even more sort of manic. Because she's easily disposable and she knows it.
Yeah. I mean, she gets to be in this position also because she leveraged powerful men, right? And their armies, right? And she's only there because they agree for now that she should be there. But her position is not certain, not secure, right?
Yeah. So then there's Petunia who tries to kill Mary. It's basically a snake.
Yeah.
And then we find out Bess is a sympathizer with the Ethians, and then in the next episode we find out that she is an Ethian. She just turns into a fox.
Yeah, which I guess I should have guessed because her mother was a cat. Her mom, Anne Boleyn, could turn into a cat.
Oh,
they establish it. Yeah, that's why Mary hates Ethians, right? Because her mother was replaced by a Ethian, basically. Yeah. So I should have but I was completely focused on other details. It didn't occur to me that Elizabeth.
It didn't for me either. I was like,
as well. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
And so,
but I liked Elizabeth though. Do you like her? I thought she was very.
We didn't get that much of her. Like we could have had more.
Yeah.
She was fun. Yeah. Liked her. And then we have this whole basically the Dudley men break out of prison. Prison break. It was very fun.
It
And
was such a bad prison break, though.
but it was fun.
Yeah, they're so cute, though. It's such a nice, like, family moment. Yeah.
And senior tells he didn't have your transformation didn't have anything to do with your mom's death. You need to go over that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice moment. I was also kind of like, you need to move. You need to go. Like, why are you? I love the family moment, but like,
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah, it's because they spend too long having their moment.
Yeah.
That's why he gets caught like immediately
What are you doing?
after escaping. I was like, okay.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
fun, the narrator talking about the swoon-worthy bravado. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. And so then we have Edward and Fitz and Charles basically going off to rescue Jane. Charles is leader of the Ethians. And so that's going to be, like storming the castle. And it's basically like it becomes, these last two episodes feel very Princess Bride-ish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
And so then there's this whole trial, and Bess supports Jane. And then Jane tells Edward to rally the army, and she's found innocent, but at the trial. But then at the end, Gifford transforms in front of everybody. Mary makes it, and so then they're sentenced to death.
Yeah, because they can't marry, like, Etienne and Verity intermarriage is not allowed. Like, it's outlawed. So yeah.
So then episode 8, our finale, is God Save the Queen. Queen Mary imprisons Lady Jane. Norfolk opposes her cruelty, is executed. Courtney's seek supernatural Ethians' help against Mary, and Ethians interrupt Jane's execution, freeing her. So there we go. In this finale episode, instead of she's in the Tower of London, like in real life, but obviously instead of her actually getting executed, her and Dudley, like in real life, they get saved by the birds.
Yeah. Symbolic, I guess. Freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the little character moments that it gives Jane. Like, she's tempted to poison the very nice prison guard guy, to kind of try and secure her freedom.
And she's debating about should she jump out the window.
She's like, she considers like all these paths, and you can really feel her desperation. But she still chooses to be like a good person, right?
Yeah.
The prison guard guy was so endearing. It's like a very sweet.
He was fun.
It's like, you crazy lady. He was doing the whole wine.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice. Yeah.
And I loved in the narration when talking about what exile means for the Ethians, and he's like isolation and whatever, and then he's like, and they had to camp. Like, that's the fate worse, and because I am not a camper. Like I relate to Vicky / Meredith in The Parent Trap when they're like, "Get me out of this stinking fresh air." Like, that's me. This would be somebody's idea of fun, but it's not mine. Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes the thing about being a teacher, right, is that I'm forced to like camp and to relive all these moments in which should just be left in the past.
Yes.
When you're young, you're like forced to do all these things, and now like I'm an adult, I should get a choice. I still have to go camping. Oh god, yeah, I related to that completely.
I don't understand. Like, I mean, I don't mind camping that much if I have a bed. If I have like for me, like the glamping / like motorhome kind of thing, I can deal with that. If I have you know what I mean? But if I have to sleep on the ground,
It's cranky, Rachel. Cranky.
No. No, I can't do the toilet situation.
Yeah.
I think I can't like
Me too.
dig a hole, you know. Oh no.
And it was just so,
No.
that was one of my favorite lines from the narrator. They had a camp. That was really funny. I thought.
Yeah.
So then we have Catherine and I got it right in this part of the notes. Catherine and Seymour's son. They get married. So they sneak off.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I felt like maybe like I don't know. This was a subplot, like a plot point that I didn't care for.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I don't know why they like each other. It felt a bit too rushed. Yeah, so I don't know. It was a bit weird.
I mean, I think they were trying to make it like go full circle because the whole reason that she got married in the first place was to save Catherine from having a horrible marriage. And so the fact it ends with her having a happy, quote unquote, happy marriage, I think that's probably what they were trying to do. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the people are calling for Jane's release. And then we have this fight between Mary and Bess, which was fun. And then this whole thing with Mary and Philip of Spain, that was real. That was a real thing.
Yeah. I don't know about the severed arm. I don't think
not that part.
That was part of it. Yeah, when she was practicing her Spanish, it was hilarious. When she was practicing her Spanish,
that was
so bad.
Well, Guilford and Jane really were executed together in real life.
Yeah,
they really were executed together, and they both say no to Mary's deals of basically she makes a deal that we can eradicate atheism, we'll let you go. And Margaret, she's kind of Mary tries to manipulate Margaret and use her as a tool. And so there's that. And then the Seymour is sort of jealous of this Philip thing, tries to get Philip with Catherine. And then she's like, nope, I'm going to marry your son instead.
Yeah.
And then we have, let's see here. So then we have let's see. I like it when they say you can't smell hugs. When they said that. And then this is where we get out. I'll go Princess Bride with Seymour sword fighting Guilford. That was fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's a good sword fight is always fun to watch. I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the birds save them from the execution. Save her from the execution, and then Guilford's on fire. She goes into the fire. They kiss, and then he becomes the horse and saves them both from being burned. And I'll never leave you. And she says, "I love you," and he says, "I love you too." It's all very, very fun.
Yeah, it's a really nice, I think, ending moments for the season. Yeah.
And then him and his dad and brother, Dudleys never say die. That's fun. But our story is not over yet because Mary is still queen and the palace holds many secrets.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think we got season 2.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. I thought it would be more contained, I guess. I thought maybe they might do like a book 1, book 2, book 3 kind of thing. But when I saw like the ending and Mary was still like, on the throne and, things hadn't been resolved, I was like, oh, okay, we're going with season 2 of the same narrative. Yeah, which could be kind of fun, I feel, because now we're going into like non-historical territory a little bit more. Yeah. Because now Jane is alive, right? And Guilford is alive, So that's going to be kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yep. And so we also have that you see that Edward and Fitz are
Yeah,
a couple. Yeah. So that's fun.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, now we're totally, because Edward's alive and Jane's alive and everybody's alive. And this is when we also get our little tease that Bess is actually Ethan. So,
Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah.
yeah. So it ended in a satisfying way, unlike Bridgerton, which 7 and 8 sucked. I especially 7. What a terrible episode of television. I still can't believe it. I cannot believe
Yeah.
they had all the ingredients. How could they suck it up so much? I just can't believe it. But they did.
Yeah.
And so this was much more successful and a lot of fun, and particularly enjoyed anything with Jane and Guilford. And like we said at the beginning, more please, more of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I think it's not easy, I think, to build this kind of chemistry, especially like from the get-go, like the moment, like even from her just looking at him, right? And he's not even looking back. They have that very intense, flammable chemistry, right? That I really enjoyed, like watching unfold.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, let us know what you think. And this is a long episode because we're covering a whole season of television. So if you've gone through the entire episode, then put in your comment, put in hashtag My Lady Jane Rules. Put that in, and we'll know that you got to the very end of the episode. And that will be fun. But let us know what you think. If you liked the show, which episodes you liked, which characters you liked, what would you have them do differently going forward. We just like to hear what you have to say in the comments or on Twitter. And I guess, Natasha, where can people find you now that you've changed some of your things?
I'm still on Twitter. I'm still on X. At Lit My Soul. My work is still on Cultured Vultures. Technically, I'm still a writer for Cultured Vultures, but I think not as much content moving forward. I don't know. I'm kind of a nomad now, I guess. Like just wondering. But I mean, we'll see where I end up. Yep.
Very good. Well, we'll have that all in the description, so make sure to check that out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And also make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later.